Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we got ourselves a track from an act named Horizons Demise titled Dead and Buried. And if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves this track on the screen on YouTube, the music video for it. I should note this is not the first time that I've listened through Horizons Demise's music. I previously checked out their EP titled The Last Light. Apparently this track is off the upcoming release titled Phase 1 Calibration Protocol. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. I like the sound design with the fuzz and stuff like that. Drenched. Oh. Seems like it'd be a hell of a live show. I mean, it's so ferocious. I mean, it's a hell of an introduction, isn't it? It's ferocious, you know, it's visceral. The production quality is really tight. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Horizons Demise titled Dead and Buried. In this section, I'm going to be providing an overall song analysis from everything through the vocals and lyrics all the way through to production, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally, my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? My take or understanding on what this track is about, it kind of rotates around the concept of what they mentioned in the chorus about the legacy. I'm dead and buried. I'm assuming effectively it's our own place in the world, what will occur when we're not there anymore, what we will be remembered for. And given the expression that we have with the chaos and tension and force behind it, I kind of feel like we're expressing like an assertion that it's either meaningless, like we're so kind of pissed off that it's meaningless, or I'm not quite sure. I'd have to think on that. I think it's an interesting thing to discuss anyways. I didn't get all the lyrics through clearly in some of the verse sections. I think there was just a lot going on. It can also be part of the style of vocals as well, that kind of fryish, kind of growly stuff. But at the same time, I mean, I like the tone of it. I think that it suits the mood of it. And I think you can kind of gather a lot of what we might be trying to communicate from that anyways. It's part of the genre. The vocals are done well with proper technique. We've got some melody behind it. We're doing like this kind of dual voicing thing there. And we don't seem like we're stretching ourselves too much. The kind of hiss and the roar behind it, it matches the push of what's going on with those really chuggy power chords there in the low parts of those guitars there. The drums, regardless of whether they're going half time or double time, for example, or at least normal time, I think. And I don't think we needed to do too much more within the short form factor piece at 2 minutes 49. You know, you got a couple of verses, a couple of chorus, some instrumental components, and that's all we really need, to be honest. I feel like we explored things enough, told the story that we needed to, and we were good. The line devoured by the soil as well as heavy. I dig that. There's some interesting imagery that is evoked within it. The track itself at 2 minutes 49, with an understanding that you can kind of connect what's going on with the lyrics, or what you understand from the lyrics with the vocal style. At 2 minutes 49, it's very effective with its transitions. You got the kind of radio splutter at the start there, a couple of like kind of filtered riffs there, and then we just go straight into a balls to the wall with the guitar bass drums. There's also some sort of industrial synths there, almost kind of doomish. Like it reminds me of some of the kind of synths they have in the Doom games, the 2016 ones and so on and so forth. Which is a compliment, because I like the sound design. It kind of seems like an end of the world Armageddon scenario with the way that they resonate. It's very kind of stressful, but like that suits the mood. It's just a great pad-like effect that kind of fills the mid-range and has a bit more color to add alongside the non-melodic vocals, again, the harmonies with the downtuned power chords and everything like that. A lot of it's about the groove, to be fair. But it's just cool to have the kind of the radio filter, the stutter, the audiovisual experience within this track itself and the video is very strong. It kind of sounds like you're going into a technical hellscape. Once we get into the full swing of things there, we've, for example, got a drum kit which is very comfortable and capable across its varying sort of like double kick grooves, snares, and cymbal patterns there. We have some really cool fills there that kind of split parts neatly in ways that are both sort of typical and atypical of the genre. I like that we could potentially sort of like roll more double kicks in there, but instead we go to the tom transfers between parts of the chorus. I think the kind of gallops that we have in some of the parts there, they have that obvious sense of speed or freneticism there that maybe is that kind of push-pull that we're wanting from the rhythm guitar riffs as well. But when we go into the halftime elements, such around the 45-second mark there with the ride cymbals, it's just nice to have some sub-lairish kind of cymbal elements there to sort of make it seem like we're taking more of our time kind of dancing through the ether. There's also this palm muted power chord part there, which has a great rhythmic unison with the drums. In fact, I think the guitars in general are very cognizant of what the drums are trying to accomplish, and they work to each other's strengths really neatly, especially as a low to low mid oriented instrument. A lot of the time rhythm guitars, with the heaviness of it, it makes a lot of sense to allow them to sort of like carry the vocals and provide a ground floor for them alongside the bass. We're rolling with the minors there. I think we have Phrygian flat seconds as well with the power chords there, but it's just visceral sounding there. And we are mostly doing like rhythm elements on the guitar. We're not trying to create too many counters to the lead lines from the vocals. You have like a more melodic mid-range riff around the 1 minute 48 mark, for example, there, but it's still more sort of oriented around the low end there. It's more sort of a palate cleanse, I suppose, or something kind of freshen things up before you go into like another breakdown section. In fact, I think actually that entire section starting from about 140 was good, because you have the drums as such a constant throughout most of the track that it's kind of weird to not have the push and pull of that, to allow things to flow a little bit before we go smack bang into it. And it's only, I mean, you have the hi-hat. I mean, sure, you have the hi-hat closes, but I mean, like, just having the guitars on one side with their symmetry within the stereo field is quite fun. And that part there at 217, we just John. You've just got that, I would assume 8, 1 and 2, and yeah, absolutely. But definitely more about the groove with this one. I think that's a sensible decision there. You know, not all, rock and metal and hardcore-ish kind of stuff needs to be super duper colorful. They really committed to the bit and made something special here, I think. So ultimately, I feel like the guitar, bass, and drum elements there, with the bass typically working with the root notes and being sort of more a supportive element there. Things were measured out well. Not a complaint instrumentally for me. You had enough different riffs and ideas there to flesh out this 2 minute 49 track really well. There was no filler. Thematically minor leaning, which makes total sense given the subject matter. The Phrygian mode, the use of the flat second, made things sound a bit more sort of sinister, which was kind of neat, especially with some of those lower power chords, as well as the mid-range section, I think, with the guitars, and just that kind of synthy pad there was harmonizing on the fifth there with the root. Or maybe it was the octave. No, it could be the octave, because I think it was going from a flat second to an octave. Yeah, so maybe an octave then. But either way, just fun just fun music, you know. For people who are fans of this kind of stuff, it covers the fundamentals of more. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering. Honestly, one of the best sounding metal tracks I've heard in quite a while. Commercial grade as far as I'm concerned. Great polish to the vocals, guitar, bass, drums, the synths. The radio filter and production techniques there, especially with the kind of filtering of the guitarist and stuff before you come into it to give you a hint of what's to come before it just kind of slams into you at the end was really it was very effective. And the fact that we ended with that as well almost feels like it's a story that hasn't quite been told yet. Like there's more to come, which I think makes sense again considering that this is part of a bigger project. No word resonances within the frequency spectrum, nice and wide in the stereo field. Again, I like the panning of the asymmetry of those guitars there. I like the guitar around that sort of breakdown part there. I think regardless of whether we were going a bit more slowly, a bit more quickly, there was a great sense of flow and room for the instruments to breathe without being too choked, so the dynamics were done well as well. And just very quickly with the guitars there, now that I think about it, regardless of whether we were palm muting them or just doing sort of alternate picked kind of low string octaves and such, like it never, like, again, they were constant, but we just found the balance, I think, between, again, choking them or having too much there. Just the track kind of staggered along when it needed to, but it flowed otherwise. And the vocals weren't overproduced. The guys had a really solid vocal technique. No complaints on my end about that. Carried themselves well across the mic, and was present regardless. And just again, incorporating the radio frequency kind of static and Foley into it was a smart choice as well. Just being able to get those things to sound natural together and to go between with, again, the push of the actual track coming in was clever. So ultimately, you know, no complaints about that side of things in post. Yeah, I think this is really promising. No applicable constructive critique. I liked a lot with what was going on here. From a general listener's perspective, again, while I didn't get all the words through, I don't necessarily mind that. I think that as long as I can provide an interesting audio-visual experience, and as long as the vocals sound cool, and as long as the guitar, bass, and drums and vocals, you know, or the keys, for example, as long as everything's kind of cohesive and makes sense together, I don't necessarily mind lacking a definitive narrative there or missing parts out. They made the use of the real estate that they had, and they hinted that there was going to be more to come, which is cool. So I wish them all the best of luck with the upcoming release, titled Phase 1 Calibration Protocol, but thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an ex named Horizons Demise, titled Dead and Buried. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.